Welcome, everybody, to the Undiscussables. Welcome. This is the Undiscussable schedule and information. Carbondale United upcoming events. We have Southern Illinois activists and mentors today here to answer your tough questions. We'll discuss questions received through the registration and the survey, as well as questions asked live by the audience. Here are some crisis resources if anyone feels overwhelmed with emotions like sadness, depression, anxiety, or like you want to harm yourself or others. Call 911 or one of the national crisis resources listed below. Have a question? We're here to discuss your questions. Use the Q&A function to submit your question. Submit your question anonymously by selecting the Send Anonymously option. You can also submit questions on Facebook live stream. Note that you cannot submit questions anonymously on Facebook. Carbondale United. Our mission is to provide an avenue of healing and community safety through awareness, education, and activism. Our goals are to eliminate gun violence and racism from our neighborhoods and to provide events that are inclusive and diverse. Stay in touch at facebook.com, create a better community 15, or Carbondale United 15 at gmail.com. Some upcoming events we have. It's time to unite. We're having a virtual open mic poetry night, March 18th, 2021 at 6 p.m. The theme is racism and healing. You can look for the post of the flyer on Carbondale United's page, and the link will be there to register. Also, this month, we have Talk That Talk, where you can come and learn proper tools and tips to help increase your skills in public speaking. And that's March 25th, and you can register at the CarbondalePublicLibrary.org. Meet your panelists. We have Stephen L. Tarver Sr., Walter Davis III, Kurt Ford, Stephanie Fraction, Gary Whitfield, Daryl Wimberly, and myself, Nancy Maxwell. So let's get started with Steve.
Good evening, everyone. Man, the fifth grade. I can almost remember way back then at this ripe age of 51 years old. But that was when I was maybe 10 or 11 years old. Man, life was so pleasant. But then it changed in my world in the fifth grade. I was growing up right here in Carroll, Illinois, and my dad was a preacher. And unfortunately, just like most of our parents, they were having some bad times, a lot of arguing in the house and things like that. Well, one day as I came home, we were leaving, packed up and going, leaving and going to another place. Just one day out the blue, I ended up in Gary, Indiana, a whole different atmosphere. Had to leave my friends, a new school, had to have, and grew up in a single parent home. What happens then? At the age of 10 or 11, I was angry, scared, confused. The sixth grade was different because I still had the qualities of having a two-parent home instilled into me. But I tell you what, going into a new atmosphere and into a new environment and facing new friends and just adapting as a young man, a young Black man at 10 or 11, it was hard. And by the end of the sixth grade, I can remember at the award ceremony, I got so many awards. But by the time I reached the eighth grade, I had got caught up in peer pressure. I had got so angry at my parents being separated. I had got bullied into a gang to the point where I started skipping school. I started trying drugs. I started doing things that a normal 12 or 13-year-old wouldn't do. Gratefully, I was introduced into the John Will Anderson Boys Club. They called it the club that beat the streets. In there, I had a mentor named Mr. Kenneth Moss. Let me tell you guys, when I said I was bad, I was bad. But Mr. Moss showed me that he really cared. And he was one person who stayed in the fight with me until I was able to see that I could change, that I didn't have to be angry, that I didn't have to be sad, and I didn't have to be confused because Mr. Moss went through some of the similar things that I did. It was then that I discovered that I had athletic abilities. Yeah, I got a smooth jump shot. I could swim, and I've done other things that I probably wouldn't have done if I wasn't involved in an organization or had people that poured into me. Today, I'm glad to say that this group that we're working with today is looking to do the same thing for you guys. There's some of you guys that are facing some of the similar things that I faced in my times, and many of the panelists are going to introduce themselves have faced also. But what we want to do today is introduce to you a way that you can get help. We want to be the mentors, and we want to be the people that you can turn to ask those hard questions, to find out the why, whens, and hows. Yeah, after the 8th grade is still, man, I still went through some bumps and bruises, but I had support. And this is what we're offering here today. A group of individuals that have been through some of the same things that you're going through, but you guys have it a little rougher because you got social media and other things that you're dealing with. But yes, we want to be able to help you understand that you are special and there's something in you that you don't have to hide, that you're a shining light, and we want to help you shine. So Stephen Tarver is my name. I am president of Men of Power, Women of Strength, located in Carroll, Illinois, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Well, I believe I am up next. Hello, my name is Kurt Ford, Senior. I am, oh gosh, what am I now? 35. But going back to me, what was it like when I was in middle school? Man, so I'm a little different than most. I grew up in the northeast suburbs of Chicago, and my parents, I'm a first generation American. My parents are from Jamaica. You probably can't hear it in my voice. That was one of the issues I had growing up. I was raised to talk well and eloquently and accurately. But then I also had my Jamaican accent that may come out, or I may talk around my friends a certain way, but I was ridiculed for things like that. And it was rough having parents from another country because they really didn't have a lot of the same views and values that a lot of people are used to. So I had to wear hand-me-downs. You know, I wasn't able to participate in sports and I didn't get all the things that everyone had. And for me as a youth, I felt like I didn't have no one there for me. I didn't have no one in my corner. I didn't have the resources of a Boys and Girls Club or friends or family since all my relatives were overseas. So I felt really alone. I didn't really know who I was or my identity. But right behind me, if you see, well, let me move my head, right there, that man was very influential in my life. Growing up, that was my pastor, and he helped instilled in me a lot of values. He helped showed me that, hey, life wasn't about right now. It was about how you carried yourself, made sure that I put on deodorant, that I ironed my pants, things that a little middle school boy didn't really pay much attention to. And it was because of great men like that that I had that opportunity to discuss the undiscussable, to present those questions, to have someone to lean on. And one of the greatest encouragements that I could give you young people here today is that don't be afraid to reach out for those people that are in your corner. Don't be afraid to lean on those that are there to help you. I know it seems scary. I know that you wonder, I may say the wrong things. They may judge me. But if you have someone that is in your corner, they may be on your case, but in your corner, that is someone you need to hold on to. Recently, my mentor just passed, and I can't help but think about all the things that he's done in my life. So even as an adult, it is a tough time when I look back and think about how impactful he was into my life. But if you've watched the show on Disney, it's called WandaVision. And so if you're into the Marvel thing, I am. I'm a big nerd. And in that show, one of the characters, Vision, they were talking about death and they were talking about just things in life that could be going on. And he said, what is love if not grief persevering? And so for me, when I think about that and I think about my mentor and I think about hard times, I don't think about those bad moments. I don't let my moments become monuments. I don't let these small little speed bumps detour me away from what I have to do, but I stay focused on what I know I need to be and who I need to become and staying focused on the positive. So I am so excited to be here today. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I want to let you know as the other panelists come and introduce themselves, I know you have questions. I know you have things that you may need help with or you may want to talk about. Please let this be the avenue that you get that out. And even if you don't feel comfortable today, I'm sure everyone here on this panel, you can shoot them a little message that we will definitely try to meet your need and help you out. So grateful for this opportunity. Thankful for that. And that's just a little bit of my life as a kid.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Fraction, and as an artist, I'm known as A New Day. As a kid, I was pretty popular, I guess. I used to use my music as a way of making friends because my parents were pastors and we moved around a whole lot. So by the time I was in the 5th grade, I probably moved to 4 to 5 different cities by the end. And I would always make friends and I'd have to leave those friends because we would move away. So it was always hard for me, like finding a way to balance my life because it was always changing. And I never had people consistently in my life. I would have people around and then it'd be new people. So I would change as well. Well, I would use my music. I kind of hide behind my music to make friends and just to be popular or so that people would like me because I was kind of poor and I didn't have all the things that other people had. And people would talk about me. But when I sang and when I used to think my gifts, people liked me. They just liked me because of that. And sometimes we have gifts and we have different things that we can do. Some people may draw and some people might sing or some people may dance. And because I wanted to be popular or because I wanted to make friends, it made me be a more boisterous person. I was always the type of person that would stand up for people who were like me, who didn't have much. I was always somewhere trying to be a leader and take up and speak up for people who didn't know how to speak up for themselves because I had a 2-parent household and that was just something we were taught. Like one of our other panelists, Steve, around the 5th, 4th grade, my parents got divorced and my life changed. It changed in a big way. My father was no longer in the household and he had moved on with another family and I didn't see him as much. And I was kind of jealous of the other kids that he was potentially raising. And I wasn't spending as much time with my father as I used to. And I believe that I started to seek attention and I started to seek the wrong attention. I started to seek attention from little boys. And as a teenager, I became a teenage mother because of that. But as time went on, I used those things. I've always been the type of person to be resilient and look for avenues to be better. So I would use those things that I've been through to try to build me up. So one thing I'm going to talk about tonight is just not letting things that you might go through knock you down. You can still get back up. I'm a teacher now. I teach young children, and that's why I'm doing what I do tonight. So that's just a little bit about myself.
Hello, and I'm back again. So, Uh, when I was a kid, um, we lived in this like really nice neighborhood in this really nice house. My mom and my dad was there, and it was really great. I mean, we shopped at Sears. We had multiple cars. We went on trips and places. And then one day it just all crashed. So my mother and father didn't get divorced. In fact, they stayed married until the day they died. But my mom got sick, and nobody really knew what was wrong with her. They called it all kind of different things, but actually now they would call it bipolar, and they would call it depression. But in those days, they didn't really know what it was. And so my father blamed himself for my mom being sick. And so he started to drink. And so this really nice house that we had, I used to always think that the walls turned black because we had to turn on the stove to keep the house warm. And in the kitchen, the walls turned black. I felt like my whole life went black because I'm 11, maybe 12, and now I'm the parent because I have a father that drinks and my mother has a mental health issue. And I have to tell her what to do, and she's no longer telling me what to do. Um, I will say that the people in my life helped me through those times, but my life didn't just go straight right away. I was a teenage mother. I dropped out of high school 2 months in. I went to ninth grade for 2 months, and I dropped out. And I did have an older sister, which was a big uh, mentor in my life. And every time I seen this lady, I promise you, have you got your driver's license? Have you got your GED? Did you go to school? I used to run and hide because I didn't want to hear this whole lecture every time. So you know what? I was thinking that I could work at McDonald's and I got a baby and life was gonna be good, which was so not true. And I got so tired of hearing my sister give me that lecture every time that I went and took that GED test just so she would be quiet. I signed up for the class. And the first day of the class, the teacher said, well, go take the GED test. We're going to see where your weak spots is at. And then that's where we'll work on it at. So I went and took the GED test. And I didn't think nothing of it. I got the envelope. I ripped it open. It said, you passed. I'm like, what? I looked at it again and said, you passed. And that was like a turning point for me. That now I have my high school diploma, something I had put off, and I was working at McDonald's, and I could apply for other jobs. Um, it was a struggle being a teen mother because the teen father uh, went on about his way and made some more girls teen mothers. And here I was with this baby. And I want to tell you the worst day of my life was seeing my friends get in a limo, they going to the prom, and here I am pushing a stroller. And plus, I got all what I deal with at home. If it wasn't for the people in my life wouldn't have changed. It wasn't just my sister. It was this is when we was really a community, okay? Every mother looked out for the kids. You know, for graduation, there was a lady down the street. She sold my graduation dress from eighth grade. It was another lady that helped me with my hair. It was a whole community that pitched in and tried to fill in the spots where my mother could no longer do it. I keep saying that we need to take it back old school now, and we need to bring that community back to where it was, where everybody looked out for everybody. Because we don't do that no more. It's not. Don't say that to my child. My child didn't do blah 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 blah. Instead of we working together and talk to your child. I never would have made it where I am today. I have 2, 3 degrees now and my GED. Carbondale United is a organization that I started. I work for the NAACP. I'm the criminal justice chair there. I sit on many boards, and I have a really good reputation in the community. But none of that would have ever happened had somebody not helped me along. So I'm most definitely here, as everyone else is on this panel, to help you along, to answer your questions. You can call me anytime and say, hey, I seen you on that virtual summit and I need to talk. Because I want to tell you, it's not too many things that I haven't been through. Not too many at all. You name it, I could probably tell you a story about it. I used to think when I heard older people tell stories, I'm like, ain't no way they went through all that stuff. They just making it up, telling a story to tell it. But now I've reached somewhat of that age, and I know that that's how it goes. I got a story for everything. Whatever you got to come up with it, I can tell you about it. So I'm going to let us move on to the questions. We got an excellent panel here, and I think this is going to be a really good program.
So one of the things that the people wanted to know was, how do you handle fear? What techniques can you use to overcome some of the things that scare you in life? Who wants to take that first?
I'll take that first. Like I mentioned, going into a different environment as a child, you definitely encounter a lot of fear. One of the greatest things that helped me throughout my life is that my mother and father were deeply involved in church. And they instilled in us that there's a higher power and that you really can't control anything in life. All you can do is just take a grip of what you can and run with it. So fear sometimes is things that you create that never happen. And a lot of times we have to look at it that way, so that if we're scared of something, then maybe it's something that we're just putting on ourselves that may never take place, and that a higher power is protecting us and giving us what we need to make it through, even if it's what we expect. So I've adopted that theory over the years, that I'm pretty much not scared of anything except me and what I allow, and the choices that I make.
Fear, spookiness, fear. Fear to me is something that, I can be honest, personal struggles. I have a fear of failure. I sometimes struggle with anxiety, which brings about some fears in my life. But something just like Mr. Tarver said, and some things that even I take, of course, I hold to and believe in a higher power as well. But when I even just look at those two words, you have fear. And what is fear? An acronym for fear I heard was false evidence appearing real. So something false that's making itself seem real. But fear is basically you believing in something you can't see. But there's a funny thing, and another word that has almost the same definition. So fear is believing in something you can't see. What's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is faith. And what is faith? Faith is believing in something you can't see. So I started to tell myself, if I have a choice to believe in something I can't see, I can either be fearful and believe in something I don't see, or I can have faith in something and believe in something I can't see. I choose to have faith. And my faith is that of now that I'm believing that whatever positive thing that I want in my life, I can have. Whatever that is that I want to reach for, that I want to grab for. So middle school, tried out for a sport. I was fearful, never played this sport before, but I had to put my faith into action and say, hey, no, I can do this. I had people in my life that were able to tell me I can do this. So for me, how did I overcome fear? I started believing in the opposite of that thing. I started to tell myself what I can do, who I am, and who I can be. And I was grateful for to have people in my life to help position me in those places. So if you're a young person out there and you're struggling with fear, it's okay. It's natural. But what are you going to feed? Are you going to feed your fear, or are you going to feed your faith? And how do you feed your faith? That takes people in your life. That takes different positions that you put yourself in. So my encouragement to you to be is, hey, don't choose fear, choose faith. Choose something else to believe in that's going to help push you to where you need to go, and take it one day at a time. It was always told to me, how do you eat an elephant? Simple. One bite at a time. You can't take the whole thing down. So make each day better than its last. Conquer each fear and look back and know that, hey, I made it past those fears. I can make it forward to something else. And so that's how I handle fear.
Okay. The next question. Does anybody else want to answer the fear question before I move on? All right. The next question was, I want to be a good friend. I don't want to be a tattletale, but I know my friend is causing self-harm. What should I do? Or what can I do? What is my responsibility as a good friend?
Sometimes as a friend, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? As a friend, you need to step in. That's what friends do. Because the friend that is harming themselves may not have enough courage to face whatever it is that they're going through. And being a young person, sometimes we try to take on things that are bigger than us. And you have to find an adult that you trust so that you can tell them what's going on, because that person needs help. And if you want to be the best friend to them, being the best friend is getting them help by any means necessary. They'll thank you. They can be mad at you, but guess what? Your friend will still be alive. And one day they'll thank you for saving their life. Don't take the chance of something happening to them, because if something did, how would you feel then if you didn't tell anybody? And then we don't want you to be living with that guilt. So get it off your chest. Give it to someone who can handle it. And that's an adult situation. That would be my thing. Make sure you tell someone.
Okay. Anybody else want to handle that one? Stephen, was that a hand? Okay. The next question is, as a young person, I noticed that my community lack resources. Like, we don't have any scouts. What can I do as a young person to get the programs that I want to see happening in my community?
That is a great question, and I love questions like that. In our community, we have a lot of resources that are lacking, and unfortunately, it's been a sincere feeling of apathy that has taken place. No matter what happens, you guys are our future. You guys are going to be the next store owners. You're going to be the next business owners. You're going to be the next mayor, the next city council members, the next teachers. So this is where we need to start empowering you guys to speak. So if you need a scout, talk about it. Go to your administrator at your school, go to your teachers, talk to your parents. Make sure that they understand the needs that you have. One of the things that hurted our community was that the only time that we talked among each other was among ourselves, and we couldn't help ourselves. We just got deeper and deeper into trouble and into depression and into other things that wasn't helping. But as a teenager, you guys have a voice, and that's one thing you have to understand. Your voice speaks volumes, because you are our future. So whatever you think you're desiring, research it. You have technology at your fingertips. Sometimes you have to put that old joystick down, though. You have to get out the games and get down to business. But find a scout. Find out what scouts do. Find out what's the closest scout next to our town, and then let's go for it. Let an adult know that you want a scout troop. You want a boys club. You want other activities. And then it's our responsibility as adults to find and meet your needs. So don't be afraid. This is what the Undiscussable is about. Speak your mind. Let us know what you need.
What I add to that is that, and when the adults come and they provide these programmings for young people, show up. That's what gets us to keep bringing programmers to you guys. We want you guys to be interested, so we want you guys to be interested in what we're doing. We want you guys to participate and to have fun, and for you to have the opportunity to do a lot of the things that you have not done so far. So that's the issue. That's what we want to do for you guys. So make sure that when we're providing these programs, that you guys show up, tell your friends, tell your parents so that they can participate and be a part of it as well. So yeah, we're around. Let's make sure that you tell your counselors, and people will come together to make sure that you guys have the things that you need.
I'll piggyback one thing that Mr. Tarver said, and well, that he touched on, reach out and do all that. But he said, put the devices down. One of the things, yet again, I love my parents. My parents are great. My parents are amazing. Love them to death. But they, yet again, had different values. Part of those was I didn't get, even if there were opportunities, my parents weren't really going to open the door for me to have those opportunities. So I had to take advantage of any opportunity I could create for myself. So what does that mean? I believe most of you young people, if you're connected with the public library or you're connected with other resources, you do have those people or resources you can lean on. Please reach out to them. But understand that there's a component where you have to just get it. You have to get your Nike on and just do it. So whatever that may be, if you are interested in music, man, you should be listening to music, but also studying music. If you're interested, a lot of kids now are interested in video games and be like, hey, I could be the next streamer online and do this and do that. Well, do you know how to work the equipment? Do you know how much work it takes in behind the scene? Do you have a camera presence? There's things that you can do. And especially nowadays with access to the internet, there's a lot that you can do as a young person for yourself, so that when you do get those opportunities, when you do have those mentors and resources, now you can take full advantage of it. Now you can fully engage and become a part and fulfill your dreams. So I would encourage you, lean on those resources, but also push yourself, study, apply, and grow.
Okay, but my next question is, how do I ask for help without appearing to be weak, such as with cyberbullying?
Can I answer that question? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I think the first thing is when someone is cyberbullying you, I think the first thing is to talk to your parents about it. If you don't talk to anybody about it, talk to your parents about it. And then whoever is at your school, if you can build a relationship with your administrator to say, can I talk to you? Like my kids say, hey, Wimbo, can I talk to you for a minute in your office? That way you don't do it out in the open. Don't do it where everybody can see you, but ask to see someone one-on-one in their office. And then what you can do and have proof. Because a lot of times people say, hey, I'm being cyberbullied. Hey, take a screenshot of it, okay? And then that way you actually have proof of what they're doing. And then there could be some discipline behind that. But the key is, one, talk to your parents so they know what's going on. And then make sure you talk to someone at the school one-on-one behind closed doors. And a lot of times we can keep you anonymous, because a lot of times when people do this, they're not just doing it to you, they're doing it to other people as well, okay?
I like to add to that to say that hurt people, they hurt people. So by you speaking out and bringing attention to the subject, that person is probably just reaching out for help also. So don't feel like you're weak, because the person who picks on someone, who bullies someone via keyboard or via the social media, they're very weak and they need help. So if it's happening to you, you have to bring it to the attention of someone, because you don't want it to be able to break you down. That's one of the things you guys face that's tremendous. You have a way that something that happens overnight can be spread to thousands in an hour, and that can hurt. So don't be afraid and feel like you're discouraged or that you'll be called a snitch or that you'll be called weak. It takes a strong person to be able to stand to help others. And anyone who's bullying on some keypads, they really need help.
So I've been exposed to alcohol and drugs, and I don't really think I have a problem. I don't necessarily want to participate, but I still want to hang with my friends. What are some strategies I could use to abstain?
I'll be honest with you. You're probably going to need some new friends, at least for the time being, because you are who you hang around. And it's only a matter of time before someone talks you into joining in, whether it's a little bit or a lot. And sometimes as young people,
I'm sorry, you were cut off. Can you repeat that, please?
I think you got muted, Stephanie. There you go.
Yeah, I think I'm back on. I was just saying that sometimes as young people, we think that we can handle situations. And if we just do a little, it's just this one time. But if you're constantly around people who are doing something that you don't want to do, then you probably should find some people who are doing the things that you want to do, or that are more like-minded like you.
Yeah. I'd like to add to what Stephanie just said. I think birds of a feather flock together. And if you're involved in sports or any type of extracurricular activity, people that have something to lose, if you are around them, then they shouldn't want to go to those parties. And let's be honest, guys, you know where the parties are. You know where they are. They're putting it out there. The key is, if you could say, hey, look, my parents drug test me or whatever. I mean, that's an out, guys. I mean, if you could say, and you know what, tell your parents, hey, drug test me, go let me do a test or whatever. But that's how you can do that. That's your out. The other thing, though, is to make sure that you are around people that are going places that you want to be. In other words, if you're trying to have a goal in life, there are people, I grew up in the projects in Louisville, Kentucky, and there was a lot of people that wanted to bring me down. I was involved in sports. They wanted me to go fight somebody because somebody made them mad. I'm not about that. I'm not going to lose my opportunity because of your dumb self. And I'm just saying, guys, think about where you want to go. And if there's someone that's pulling you down, I always tell my kids, you know what? The last time you got in trouble, who were you with? I mean, it's a simple question. Then the next time, last time you got, who were you with? If you just go backtrack, the last 3 or 4 times you got in trouble. And then you got to understand, like Stephanie said, you may need to put people in the wave club. You see them, we wave at them, keep going. You don't have to go and get in their skin and grin in their face. And then it's hard, guys, because again, young people, you want to be liked. You want to have people to be around you. I get that. But some people are not in your best interest to be around.
So yeah, just to jump in, all great stuff there. I want to speak from the part yet again. I think my dynamic was a little bit different. I do remember middle school. I do remember a feeling of wanting to belong, wanting to be cool, wanting to be in with the cool kids, and not having those opportunities. And because I didn't have those opportunities, I felt alone. I stayed to myself. I didn't really go out after school or have friends to play with. And if it did, it was a few of them. But that was okay. And it was fine to be alone at times. What I did realize is that certain people I didn't need to be around because their influences were going to lead me to do negative things and negative behaviors. In fact, I do remember at one point where I tried for a summer to make some new friends, but these friends were some of the friends that are what we're talking about. They were bullies. They were very oppressive. They were very mean. And I found myself patterning that behavior, and I realized I was just doing this to fit in. But the people I wanted to fit in with were people that I really didn't like. And I had to realize and check myself and go back and apologize to some people that I treated unfairly because I was trying to be cool. Like, no, this ain't me. This is not what I was about. But then I started to pour myself into things that I liked, whether it was just going to the park and playing basketball. Then I found other kids that like to play basketball. So we started playing basketball together. And from there, we started to ride bikes and go to different places and do things like that. And by me taking a moment to say it's okay to be alone, but then to have the confidence in myself to pursue the things that I liked and then found people that like the same thing, man, it opened up so much more. We have opportunities. You could be at the library to join different groups. And there are some things that was even posted in the chat. If you're being cyberbullied, please make sure to take those steps to protect yourself. That block button, oh, it's a great button. Even me as an adult, I hit that unsubscribe button. I hit that unfollow button. Why? I don't need what you're bringing into my life. And so I definitely do that. So you can utilize that as well.
To add one more thing, guys. As adults, we still deal with the same issues. We still have people who try to peer pressure us into doing things that we might not be into. And we have to separate ourselves from people we may have known all of our lives because we're moving into a different area of our life. So this is going to continually be something that you're going to have to master at some point if you want to be a successful person in life. You have to set your focus on who you are and be that person. And then you have to get around people that are like-minded. Yeah, you're going to lose some friends and it's going to hurt. But this is a lifetime process and that's always going to happen. So you might as well get prepared now.
I also like to add that, have you ever thought that you could be the person that they want to be like?
Yeah.
So don't buy in and never dummy down. Always try to go to the next levels in life. So whatever happens, stick to your standards, stick to your morals, and stick to your virtues, and you may change them from stop wanting to do the negative things and want to follow you on the positive side. You may be the light for your environment. So never dummy down, always reach for the top, and you may bring others along.
Okay. But I felt like I was having some family issues. And when I finally opened up about it, an adult told me to just toughen up, to get thicker skin. But I think my issues are really serious. What's my next step of recourse?
Okay, so you're saying someone has you have family issues. You've opened up to someone at the school possibly, and they said for you to toughen up. Is that what I'm hearing?
The first person I went to just basically told me, I'm not special. It happens to everybody. I'll survive it. But I'm thinking, this isn't working for me. I need something and I'm not getting it. How do I get what I need?
Okay, yes. And first thing I would suggest is there is a social worker at your school. That's a person that's qualified and trained not to blow things like that off. Does that make sense? In other words, if you would go to the social worker at your school, that will be the person I would go to. And then if you don't get any resolution from there, you go to your building principal and say, hey, I went to my guidance counselor, I went to my teacher, I went to the social worker, and they told me to toughen up. And that's not how it works, okay? Because someone somewhere will listen to what you have to say, okay? And again, I have, been there, grew up with a family with alcoholism, so I know what that's like. At 9, 10 years old, having to go call the police because things are going on at my house. So I knew that there were things that went on at home that I did not want to be around and didn't want to cope with. So I use sports to help me cope with that. I use music to help me cope with that. I love some Earth, Wind, and Fire right now. Because that will help me keep your head to the sky. I'm telling you what, there is something in that, guys. You listen to that positive vibe. Sometimes you got to put positive energy in yourself. And then when you do that, I'm telling you what, guys, I'm telling you, I've been there and I know what that's like. Okay. I would come home and I knew that when there was going to be a fight, I just knew it. And my whole thing was, I just said, okay, get in my room, get my music on, do what I got to do. But always talk to your guidance counselor, talk to the social worker. And if that don't work, you talk to the building principal and say, hey, I need help.
So I have a question. Most of the kids in my classroom looks like me. but my teacher doesn't. And the school book she gives us has all these people in it that don't look like me either. How can I get my teacher to understand that I want to learn about people that look like me without being disrespectful?
I think you do just that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Kurt.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I think you should just talk, respectfully come to your advisor or your teacher and let them know your interest. If you have a problem there, then I will go to my counselor and let them know. It's keeping on going with the chain of command, and then also asking your parents to teach you things and looking up things for yourself as well that maybe you could teach your teacher about, about the same subject that you may be learning about. Because like we said before, you guys have the internet at your hand. You can look things up for yourself, and maybe you might teach them something that they don't know.
I can speak to that one a little bit as well, because for me, yet again, like I said, I have 3 older brothers and sisters, but a little more backstory. When my parents came here from Jamaica, they had me first. So I was born here in the States. My brothers and sisters, because of laws and things of that time, didn't come over until they were like teenagers. So I grew up by myself for the most part. My parents coming as immigrants into this country, I just knew my Jamaican culture. So I knew I was a young Black boy, but I didn't really identify with the African-American struggle, if that makes sense. And so for me, I didn't even realize what it meant to be a young Black man in America until I grew up a little bit older. As they asked that question, I always looked back and thought, I wish at that time I would had more that was invested to me that I could understand. I think it goes back again is that when I now look back at great men like Malcolm X, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, these men had a confidence and a drive that enabled them to achieve greatness. If you as a young person are identifying that, hey, I can look in these textbooks and this may not match up with some other things that I'm learning or hearing about. When I talk to my teachers and ask these questions, I may not be getting the answers that I'm getting. Here's the thing, don't stop. As they said, talk to a counselor, talk to your parents. Always, of course, be very respectful and let your respect show forth first. Even if you feel like you may be getting treated unjustly, know that that is the fight that you would have to fight for. That is the thing that you would have to seek. But know that yet again, there are people that are there that can help you, that can educate you, that can stand in your corner, and just seek knowledge. One of the things, yet again, man of faith, a scripture that comes is study to show yourself approved. For me, I could take that to just mean what my faith means, but I apply that to the rest of my life. If there's anything that I have a passion for, if there's anything that I have a knowledge for, man, I try to soak up any bit of information that I can. When I was in middle school and heavy into basketball, around then it was and one street ball where they do all these fancy little basketball moves. I would sit there for hours. This was before YouTube on a VHS tape. Ooh, I'm dating myself there. And hit rewind and keep going back and hit rewind. And I would study every little crossover, how he shot his jump shot, because why? That's where my passion was. So yet again, if you have things that you're seeking for and you're questioning in the classroom, continue to seek after those things. Continue to ask and gain access to that information so that you could grow your knowledge, grow yourself. And in the end, you may very well help educate those in your class or even your teacher.
And I'd like to add to that, I'm an empowerer. I believe that if it's something that you really want to do, even if a teacher says that it's not going to happen, then get along with other students and then go further. Say, listen, we'd like to start a club. that will learn about ourselves. We like to start a new organization in our high school about African Americans because we're not getting taught about ourselves. Start a book club, be creative in ways that knowledge is power, and there's no way that they can stop you from obtaining knowledge. Unfortunately, we live in a world that systems sometimes hold us down, but there's ways to beat systems, and it's called unity. So if you have more than one person that sees that, hey man, we're not being taught about ourselves, well, how don't we all come together and say, listen, we want to form a group. And organizations can be formed in a high school that you can start learning about yourself free of charge. You don't have to need a teacher then. You just need people to pour into you. And that's where we will come in. Other adults that see that you want to learn and would be glad to teach.
I'd like to add to that too, Stephen. I think a lot of it is better suited one-on-one with the teacher. A lot of times, unfortunately, adults are very prideful. And if a young person says something to them in front of other students, they may not receive it as well. But if you do your homework and whatever you're working on, if you're working on inventors and they're telling you about all these white inventors, then you come up with some black inventors, say, hey, ask the question. Hey, how about, this person or that person, George Washington Carver, just ask a question about that. But then if you do your homework, say, hey, I've done the study you asked me about this person. Have you considered looking into this person here? And I would like to maybe do a presentation in front of the class. Ask the teacher one-on-one if you can do a presentation. Now you're putting some skin in the game. You're not just asking the teacher to teach you. You're saying, I'm willing to be part of the education process.
So I've been listening and I'm ready to get out and get something started. I'm ready to do something. But at the same time, I want to be safe. I don't want to be kidnapped or raped or sex trafficking. How can I be an individual and get something started and still be accountable to me? How can I do this in a safe way that won't cause me any self-harm?
Okay, I think first thing, social media, location, stop it. I think we're telling our location to people, we're giving too much information on social media. I think that has to stop. I think the other thing is when someone says, don't let your parents know this, you should let your parents know that, because again, they're trying to pull you away. And don't ever be in any relationship or any friendship that your parents aren't cool with. And again, I've been there, guys. I think my friends are cool. My mom don't understand. She just don't want me having fun. But always let them know where you are. And I know it's hard because we think parents bug sometimes. They're always in your business. I understand that. But also understand this. Your parents love you. At the end of the day, they love you. And if they can't protect you if you're hiding your location. And if you say you're going to go to McDonald's and be with some friends, go to McDonald's and be with those friends. Don't go somewhere else. Guys, I'm telling you, so what you're saying is you want to go out and be about and do some things, but let your parents know where you're at. There's no shame in letting your parents know. There's no shame in talking to your parents about anything. If you can have that open relationship with your parents, that is a winning combination there, because if you don't talk to your parents and you listen to people out in the street, they don't always have your best interests at heart. So watch you sharing your location, telling people about when you're going out of town and all this other stuff, but always let your parents know where you are.
And I would say also be careful of people who try to help you out by doing things that you know isn't right. That they might be trying to make it seem like they're on your side and, oh yeah, I can help you do this and help you do that. But how about you come over? Or how about you call me when your parents aren't around? How about you do these things? And when those red flags come up, you need to be like, ooh, I don't know if you're someone that I need to associate myself with. But how do you become that leader? How do you take charge? Literally, if I had this device as a youth, man, my world probably would have been a different trajectory just because of how much access you have to different opportunities and different things. I think throughout the course of the night, through all of our great and wonderful panelists, we've shown you that there's resources and places that you can go that will give you a safe environment, a safe circle of trust for you to explore all your passions, all your desires, everything that you have. Yet again, it may be some of those social issues where you'd be like, well, Kurt, I don't got those people in my life. Well, I'm letting you know, you do now. Everyone here on this panel, I'm more than certain, will be able to at least make themselves available or point you in the direction of where you could get access to fulfill your dreams in a safe, positive way. So I would definitely say lean on those opportunities. Yet again, that's one thing for me as a youth. I didn't have that many opportunities outside of my mentor. I didn't have that many opportunities for people who were willing to pour and invest in my life. So I had to do it myself. And it was very tough going. But if you're in a place, you have us here, you have a lot of access and resources, lean on those positive things. And then at the end of the day, make sure you have that personal drive and determination, because that's going to take you farther and help propel you quicker to where you want to go.
I also want to tell you guys that don't rush to get old. Try to stay young as long as you can. I mean, don't fall for the okie doke that you've grown at an early age, because you don't want to grow up fast. Trust me. Enjoy life at a young age, because when you get older, you'll have more responsibilities. So yes, you want to push for the stars. You want to get your mind thought about your career goals and the things like that. Don't rush to grow up. Don't rush to try things that you're not ready for. Don't rush to do things that has legal limitations and age limitations to it. Wait till you get that age to make those decisions, because there's reasons behind that type of stuff. Do not rush to get old.
Well, I'm kind of glad you brought that up, because I stepped out. I made this plan for this big event and I failed. And now everyone's laughing at me. I don't think I can go on. Like the thoughts that I'm having are just not real. I don't know how to get back out there. What do I do now?
Well, one thing I'll say is, one thing you learn in entrepreneurship is that you're going to create a lot of businesses, and a lot of them are going to fail before you get the right one, and before it's successful. That's a part of the process. So don't be afraid to fail. That's a big thing. There's nothing wrong with messing up. How are you going to learn how to do it right if you don't get out there and do it? So the best thing to do is to get back up, see where you could have fixed some things and made it better, and then adjust. But don't give up. You always got to get back up, because you're not going to, if you never start, you won't get finished.
Here's a little secret. Learned it very late in life. I wish I learned it earlier. There is no success without failure. There is nothing you could succeed at without failing first. Now, of course, failure sucks. I don't like to fail. I don't like to make a mistake. I don't like to stutter. I don't like to not have things in place. But I have never succeeded at anything in my life that failure wasn't the first thing that happened. You look at a baby. How does a baby learn to walk? It has to crawl. And eventually through crawling, it scoots. Then it gets to crawling. Then it might pull up on a couch, and then it will fall over. If the baby just gave up at that point, it would never get to the point of walking. When you look at so many great people in life, the greatest successes they had came from their greatest failures. Let your failures be a lesson to show you where you need to improve. So for me, I'm able to take that constructive criticism. For me, I'm able to take that, look back at that failure and see, okay, hey, man, I have to take some human accountability, some self-accountability, and say, man, that was my fault. The reason why I failed is I was too lazy. The reason why I failed, I didn't put in enough work. Or it may be some other extenuating circumstances. So now next time, the next opportunity I have, I'm able now to look back and I can push past my failures and I can move forward. So please don't and here's the thing though, failures, yes, have your moment. Man, that hurt. Man, I messed up. Man, I think I made a fool of myself. But next time, one thing I tell myself, I meant to say this about fear, but it goes in the same thing with failure. Every thought needs a bodyguard. So for me, because I know for me, yet again, I deal with anxiety. And I can let these anxious thoughts and the thoughts of failure, before I even try, I'm already thinking about, well, what if I fail? What if this doesn't happen? So I have to tell myself, no, every thought, I got a bouncer in my head, be like, what if I fail? My bouncer comes in and be like, no, what if you succeed? Well, what if this goes wrong? Well, what can I do to make sure that it doesn't? So every time a thought or a negative thought or a thought of failure comes in, man, my mental bodyguard steps up and be like, no, that ain't it. This is what we're going to do. Or it may even say, hey, that may happen. So let's prepare for this. And I think that's a tip I've taken in life to help me get past my failures.
Well, I've enjoyed talking to you guys. I'd like to leave the door open for us to have another discussion sometime in the near future. Is that cool with you guys?
Yes, definitely.
Definitely.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Yes.
We'll be here.
Did have a comment, Yolanda, about the failure. Nothing beats a failure but a try. That's what I always heard. Nothing beats a failure but a try. So I failed at dropping out, but what did I do? I went back. If I would have kept to say, oh, well, this is over with, I should be like the rest of these kids and just go hang out and continue to be a dropout and work at McDonald's flipping burgers, trying to take care of a kid and having a house. Nothing beats a failure but a try. Please remember that.
Amen.
Okay. I'm up again. This is going to conclude our program. This was so awesome. And I can't wait for us to do it again, which we will be doing it again on Wednesday for the high school students. And it's something we're actually looking at trying to do on a more consistent basis. So please stay aware of our Facebook page and to see when we may be trying to do this again. I want to thank you for joining us. Our event co-sponsors is Men of Power, Women of Strength, the Carbondale Public Library, the African American Museum of Southern Illinois, the Women's Center, and So Ill Unity Coalition. And thank you to our panel for being with us, and to our backstage volunteers, Diana Brawley Sussman and Liz Hartman. If you have any questions, contact me, Nancy Maxwell, Carbondale United Director at Carbondale United 15 at gmail.com.